Good morning. How you doing? It's the morning of December 10th, 2017, and I wanted to quickly run through 10 charts with you. And as I did my weekend review, these are 10 of my favorite setups coming into next week. So first, a quick plug. If you're not a member yet or you haven't checked out ttptrading.com, I encourage you to do so. We have some great educational material, sector reviews, trade reviews, comprehensive watch lists, and of course, real-time trade alerts sent out to our members. So ttptrading.com, please come check us out. Now on to the charts. First one is Steel Dynamics, STLD. I really like the setup here, and last week was a big week for it. As you can see, since this is the weekly view, and this starting at the beginning of 2017, it's really established a nice base. If we draw the resistance here, the area that was resistance, you can see it broke through that last week. So this is a great area to trade around. A nice part about trading breakouts is you have your risk defined for you. So it broke out here. If it comes back under this box, maybe it's not such a good idea and you get out with a small loss. So I like this setup here. Nice breakout last week. So we'll be watching it this upcoming week to see how it does. Next one is Host Hotels and Resorts. Again, another theme of mine is I always like to trade in areas that are very near key technical levels. The reason for that is if I'm wrong, I know soon, I know pretty early into the trade, hopefully, and I can get out with a small loss. So here's kind of the key area I've identified with Host Hotels Resorts. You can see here it was support, then it was resistance here, resistance here. This is kind of a wacky candle, but you can see this area just, about 1950 or so was resistance, and then it broke through it here and it kind of retested, and now it should act as support going forward. So I like the risk reward here above this 1925ish 1950 area. Here's the daily view here, kind of give you a closer look. You can see there's been a lot of shares traded in this range, so this should act as support. Notice I always say should. I never say this area will act as support because you just never know. But that's what stops are for, right? So next one is New Skin Enterprises. This is a really nice looking chart here on the weekly. Same idea. Here's area that acted as resistance. I'll zoom in a little bit. Resistance, resistance, and then all of a sudden it broke through, kind of came back and tested a little and made a nice bounce in here. So this is one I really like going into the next week as well. Here's a zoomed in look at New Skin. Same idea. You can just kind of get a better close-up of how it's traded. Maybe this would be a good stop area if you entered this trade here, maybe just under the 50-day 63.50 area. It would break back below that box and maybe be a good area to get out if in fact it turned against you. Next one is Waddle and Reed, ticker WDR. This one made a bottoming pattern. I caught during my review here. It's kind of that trend line has acted as resistance going forward. Now it broke out. It's kind of a triangle type pattern here. But regardless of patterns, I don't get too hung up on patterns. I do follow classical chart patterns, and I think they're very important, but they all have one thing in common, and that's there's either a horizontal area or a trend line that acts as support or resistance for a certain time, and then the dynamic changes, and what was support becomes resistance and vice versa. So those are the key areas I look for. Here's the close-up view here. You can see this looks very good above this 2050-ish area. And then recently broke above this area as well. So this one looks like it might be starting a new uptrend. So definitely one to keep an eye on. And this weekly view is very clear. It looks like it's been kind of grinding out, making some higher lows here, kind of tightening, and then it broke out. So that's a nice one to keep our eye on for next week. Next one is Wolverine Worldwide, WWW. This one's kind of been in a grind higher here, but it looks like it might be ready to make its next leg up. I'll zoom into the daily to kind of from a risk reward perspective. This area around 2950 ish was kind of the breakout area. So this would be, I'd consider this for a long. Maybe you can put your stop, slightly under this breakout area here, or if you wanted to give it a little bit more room, maybe around the 50-day here. So that one looks pretty good. Let's see. Ford Motor. This one looks like it's that long time downtrend is kind of reversing here. This trend line is not going to be the cleanest in the world, but it'll give you the idea that this stock's been making lower lows and lower highs for some time, and then all of a sudden that changed. And if you zoom in here, this was a kind of a big area here. It consolidated for a while. I'll zoom into the daily so we can see it. Right here, it consolidated for what is that, a month or two, and then it broke out above it. So I think Ford would make a pretty nice long, especially above this breakout area here. A couple more here. Tiffany's, ticker TIF. This is the weekly chart here, and this is kind of similar to Steel Dynamics or some of the other ones. This area here has been resistance for some time. And I still wouldn't say last week it didn't get much follow through after that nice breakout. So I wouldn't say this one's out of the woods, but if it can get a close, above this $96, $97 area, I'd really, really like it with a stop, back under here, give it a little bit room to run, 93 bucks or so. But this one has a nice base to it and a really nice look. This one I've had my eyes on forever. This is Berry Plastics, ticker BERY. You can see it's a nice, this is the weekly. It's been in a nice uptrend. It's been kind of basing, not really sure which way to go, just staying steady. And then all of a sudden, I think it looks like it might want to break out. Here's the daily view. And you can see this is a key area here. It's been, this was resistance, resistance, resistance. Support, kind of broke through there for a little bit, then it's been acting as support here. So I think this is a nice long above this area here, say $58 or so. So that's Berry Plastics. This one, Methanex Corporation, ticker MEOH, is another one I really like. Here's the weekly view here. I'll zoom into the daily because it's going to highlight the same pattern. So this is your cup and handle pattern you often hear a lot about. So the important thing is, this is resistance, this is resistance, this is resistance, this is resistance. Then all of a sudden it broke through here, kind of came back and retested. So I really like this one here if it stays above this yellow box. Has a nice risk reward to it. It looks like it could go up, anything can happen. If it goes against you, you put your stop down here and you get out and have a limited loss and you go on to the next one. But I really like this one here. I like how it bumped up against that level a couple times, broke through, came back, retested it successfully so far. So we'll see if we can get some upside follow through here. Last one is ticker ECL, Ecolab Incorporated. This is the weekly one. You can see it's in a nice uptrend. Here it's kind of trending up nicely, and then it's kind of similar to Steel Dynamics. It hasn't had quite as long of a base, but really since when is that, June, it's kind of been staying still. I get a closer view here. And here's the support and resistance level here that I'm watching with this one. See it hit it here. It's resistance, 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 broke through. So we'll see if it acts as support here. If it does, if it forms a nice kind of reversal candle or starts bouncing off that, I think it would make a nice long. And it might come back to test this trend line. So we'll just have to watch it and see what it does. So those are 10 charts I have my eye on. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you.